Hey guys, it's your buddy Mark with Mornings with Mark. Also have two YouTube channels. One is Living Your Best Life. That's a brand new channel. I just started that off like a couple days ago. And then I've got a small but successful other YouTube channel called Crypto for Seniors. And I'll explain how that got started. But let me give you a little background as far as who I am. I've had a lot of questions about, who are you? How did you get into this mining? Why do we listen to you? And my background has been absolutely crazy. It is not the traditional type of background when you talk to somebody. So let's jump into it. So let me give you a little geographical kind of fix on where I am. Dead center in the middle of the U.S. Literally, dead center right in the middle of the U.S. And there's actually a couple of YouTubers that are not too far from where I live. This is my third house. I bought my first house when I was 19 years old and didn't close on it until I was 20. But that is something that was kind of unusual. And I had a father that basically talked about finances with me starting when I was 13 years old. When I was 13, I bought my very first stock. And I learned about the stock market. And I would get up with him on a couple of mornings and kind of take a look and see how our stocks were doing. And, he really, at the age of 13, he started to teach me about finance, which is one thing that we just don't see today. A lot of parents are just so busy with work. And I was just very fortunate that I had a father that cared, and he wanted to just be sure that, I was taken care of. And the best way to do that is to teach me about finance. And I think that really propelled me to, where I am today. And if you can see, I'm on a beautiful golf course and living the life. So, so this was my third house. My first house, like I said, I bought when I was 19 years old, closed on it when I was 20. And then I met my wife. I'm very happily married for 44 years now. And she has just been my everything. I've got two daughters. They're both in their 40s. And I've got one grandson. So your life experiences, I think, give you options as you get older. And I can tell you at 67, there were some options that I had that I didn't realize I could take advantage of. Like, I thought I was destined to work for the family business. I thought that was just expected. And so I worked in the family packaging business. When you think about it, wherever you are right now, if you're home, take a look around your home. If you're at work, take a look around there. Everything came in a cardboard box, and that was our business. And so life was good. That's what I thought my life was going to be. And it turns out that I'm out to lunch with my father, who was my mentor. And we were at this restaurant, and people were talking about how hard it was to get there, that the police have got these streets blocked off. And, I remember this day saying to my father, oh, gosh, I wonder what's going on. We'll find out when we get done eating. And so we head on out there, and we can instantly, the minute we opened up the door, we could smell smoke. And I thought, wow, something's burning. And in this area, which was kind of in like a stockyard area, There are a lot of old buildings. It was a downtown area. And I got a kind of a sick feeling in my stomach, kind of like a premonition that this wasn't going to be good. And by the time it probably took us 10 minutes to weave back and forth to get back to where our office was. We had a 6-story building full of cardboard boxes, and it was on fire. It turns out that it was the worst fire in the history of our city. It was on the national news, and it was totally devastating, not only to us, but to all the businesses around us. Now, a couple of the businesses, they were able to, if they had like a 5-story warehouse, they were able to knock down the 5th floor and roof the 4th floor, or the top or the bottom of the 5th floor, and put a roof on it. And then they were able to run their operation from that point on. So they, at that point, only had a 4-story building. So we found out that that was arson. That really upset me, because not only did it ruin my family, but it also ruined all of the employees that we had to let go, and all of our neighbors. It damaged theirs and all of the people that they had to let go. And the story actually had a happy ending. We, through the investigation, we actually had people go to jail over it. And, you know, that was a good thing. But that is really what propelled me to where I am today. And how that happened was, during that time, I actually moved into the home that we're in right now. And my next door neighbor was a private investigator. And I thought, well, hey, that's cool. You know, what can I do as a private investigator that I can go out and protect the small businessman, kind of like what my father and I were? And what can I do to protect them and keep them safe so that this doesn't happen to them? Whether it's investigations or arson investigations. So while I was working, I went back to school and got a degree in criminal justice, and found out that this was something I really loved. But what I probably should have done, the ultimate goal would have been to work in law enforcement, and, you know, with a canine, because I love animals. But that didn't happen. What happened was I got asked to do some crazy investigations, and a friend asked me to basically start doing some standbys for divorces. During a divorce situation, a husband was going to come over, the wife was there, and I was supposed to do protection because the police weren't going to sit around for a long time. And so I thought, okay, you know, I'd had, you know, some of the martial arts, and I thought, okay, you know, I can do this. You know, I should be able to handle myself. And of course, as an investigator, you know, you carry a firearm. And I did that for 25 years, 30 years, something like that. So that kind of propelled me, and I thought, well, you know, if I'm going to start doing protection-related things, then maybe I need to go to school. And so I went to executive protection school. And I was down in Florida at the time when I took this course. And just to tell you the level of school that I went to, I had the bodyguard for Dave from Wendy's restaurant chain, for his bodyguard. And I got to hear his story that he was a homeless guy that was looking for work, and Dave was adopted. And so he asked this guy if he wanted to work on the boat a little bit, and that relationship grew. And Dave said, you know, what do you think about getting into protection? And I'll send you to this school. So that was one of the guys that was in my school. The other one was a Minnesota highway patrol officer, and he was hired to protect Jesse Ventura. If you guys remember from WrestleMania, Jesse Ventura was a very popular individual in WrestleMania, but he also became the governor. And so it was his job to protect the governor. So, it was pretty high level. We got to do all the fun things like, drive the cars and learn all the fun James Bond, the hard turns, the J turns, the K turns, all the fun stuff. Really, I loved that school. Absolutely loved it. And would love to go through another one. Just for the fun of it. But they, as part of that school, they planted some fake bombs on cars, and we had to go through the parking lot and look for them. And it really was a really good time. And so I took that, and over the period of, I'd say 5 years or so, I grew that business to a point where I was actually hired by a company. I'd rather not say their name, but the individual that owned that company was the ex-director of the FBI in Washington, D.C. So there's been quite a few of those, so I feel comfortable in sharing that. And I was working there, and I was the only one that was not a Fed, an ex-Fed or retired Fed. And I took, interview and interrogation, and I took a lot of the high-level courses, arson investigation, and got called to come to work when 9/11 happened, and was protecting some of the critical infrastructure for the city that I live in. And I had a team of people that were under me, and I was really blessed because I was the primary for a lot of this. And the primary is the person that is always with the protectee or at the main protection site, that kind of thing, that manage the protection teams. And so I grew that to the point where I got a phone call, and he said, get a suit, grab all your firearms, and come meet me. And I didn't know what was going on, but I figured it was a pretty high-level case. Well, it turns out that this particular case was a senator that had death threats. And so I quickly assembled my team, and we basically protected that senator. Nothing happened to him, and that was through a lot of work and a lot of pre-work and site audits and making sure of, who's going to meet the senator. And we had to do a parade walk, and the logistics is just crazy, absolutely crazy. But as wild as you think this sounds is as wild as it was for me to experience it. And that turned into meeting George Bush Jr. And I did a protection assignment with the congressman and with the senator and George Bush. And Secret Service asked me, because they were short-staffed in the city that I was in, because this was a last-minute situation. George was running for president, and this was his Barnstorm tour. And so I was asked to protect George as well at the same time. So here I am, I'm standing in the back. I've got George Bush on one side, I've got my senator on the other side, and I've got one of the Secret Service giving me some of the threat analysis that you need to know to do these kind of assignments. And it went off without a hitch. I got to not only protect my guy, but I got to work the rope line where these guys go and shake hands and they talk and they do interviews. And the only reason why I'm telling you these things is because I was on camera, I was on TV. So any of the names that I give you, they're all, where I was on TV. And the other ones, I'm not gonna name because of confidentiality agreements. And so that was probably one of the most interesting ones because of working with the Secret Service and just such professionals. I mean, I just was so impressed with them. And I got a phone call, and I got to meet Coretta Scott King. That is Dr. Martin Luther King's wife. And she was going to come do Martin Luther King Day in my city, and she came for 3 years, and I was her personal bodyguard or protection agent. I don't really like bodyguard because you think of Kevin Costner, and it's nothing like that, or at least I wasn't going to let it be like that. And Coretta was just a amazing individual in the stories that she had to tell. And then I got a phone call. There was a guy in Kansas City. He was the Negro League Hall of Famer, Buck O'Neil. And so we did a couple of protection assignments for Buck O'Neil. And he's an amazing speaker. He's since passed. But I truly, truly enjoyed it. Buck was one of those people that you just instantly meet and you feel like he's your friend. A lot of fun with that assignment. It was a logistic nightmare. We had radio systems that went down during that time, and we had to work with a lot of hand signals, which was something that we had not done before. So it's all, some of those are kind of learning things that you do. But I was asked to do some work for 3M Corporation in Minnesota. And let's see, which Bush, Bob Dole. Yeah, Bob Dole came to my city for a couple of events. And I got to meet Bob. He was also a presidential candidate. And I would say that was my life for 25 years. The rest of them, the protection assignments were, few and far between because you don't have that many assignments. But, when they need you, they need you. And, it was okay. I didn't mind doing it. I could have traveled if I wanted to, but I had younger children. And I just didn't want to leave them. And so I passed on a lot of assignments. And so I stayed in my city, and I did some arson cases and did some major investigations, and did a couple with some well-known baseball players that you would know, where they went to a hotel and did a signing of some bats and some balls, and there was some theft, and I got to do the investigation on that. I ended up with, some balls, signed balls, and, pretty cool stuff. Really very cool stuff. And while I was working, I met a couple of guys, and they had a private investigation firm as well. And they asked me if I wanted to head this security operation, but they wouldn't tell me very much about it. And I was in the process of saying no, I wasn't interested in it. But it turns out that this international utility was a Fortune 34 company with $43 billion in sales. And it was an energy company, and they were literally around the world. And they wanted to know if I wanted to be the corporate security manager. So not really dealing with security guards, but it was setting up door access systems and setting up security protocols and hiring guard services to protect locations. When our folks traveled, they had corporate jets. So I actually, I can see the sun is getting ready to block out the light. So bear with me. Got this little line coming in. So I got to fly on the corporate jets, and that was pretty cool. I got to admit, that was a lot. That was a lot of fun. Had limos waiting for me, and that whole life. And it was like, one job built on the next. And here's the reason why I'm telling you this, because you just don't know where your next job is going to come from, or how you can better yourself, or better your life, or have a more interesting life, or meet somebody that was really very special. During that time, and I can't go into the name, but I met the CEO of one of the largest pizza chains, and that will give you a couple of different names, so you won't know exactly which one it was. But just interacting with him, or meeting somebody like a Coretta Scott King, or listening to the motivational speeches from Buck O'Neill, I think shaped my life in how I interact with my wife, how I interact with my children, the kind of friend that I am, or that I try to be. And I just think at that point in my life, I had reached what I would call the pinnacle. I got up about as high as anybody could ever want for their career. Lord knows I did a lot of different things. I tried a lot of different things. I was very successful in a lot of different things. And it wasn't so much that it was me, but it was the people that I picked. And that's one thing that I learned from my father, my mentor, was it's not how smart you are, but it's how smart the people are around you. And I took that as a young man working with him, but I didn't realize how important that was until I was running protection teams, and we were responsible for the life of some very high-level folks. And part of that, I became the president of a association, well-known association that interacted with corporate security and law enforcement, and I got to work with FBI, DEA, KBI, MHP, a bunch of the three-letter acronyms. And if you're anywhere in the city next to where I am, you'll know geographically where I am, because I just slipped and told you a little bit. So, I don't know, maybe I'll cut that out, or maybe I'll leave it. I don't know. I'm going to be totally transparent with you. But meanwhile, here I am working one day, and I go to get a haircut. And my barber, who I want to call out and give a shout out right now to Jake, my barber is talking about cryptocurrency. And I was like, yeah, at 63, 64, that was not anything I wanted to get into myself. And he's like, you really ought to look at this stuff. It's fascinating. So I thought, okay, I'll watch some YouTube videos. That's what everybody does to learn. And I became fascinated by crypto. And again, non-conventional. Here's a 60-year-old getting into crypto. So I'm watching these videos, and not one of them, not one, was written for a senior. And guys, I know I'm starting to lose my light a little bit. Maybe if I move over here a little bit, yeah, that'll probably be a little bit better. So not one of these videos was written for a senior. And here's what I mean by that. The couple of guys that he was watching, their opening credits are girls in bikinis sitting around a pool drinking champagne. Okay, and they pan to the house. Then they pan to a car that's out in front of the house, like a Lamborghini, something like that. And then they go to a jet where he's walking up the stairs. So here's something I found that was really interesting about that. I think the younger folks would go, hey, that's pretty cool. I want that kind of life. But the investigator in me, when they pan to the house, I realized there's no furniture in that house. So they're in a rented house that had no furniture, and they're trying to make themselves as this is their lifestyle. And I got to tell you, from that point, I was just turned off. You know, I was like, nah, I'm not going to do this crypto thing. And it was, I don't know, about 5 weeks, 6 weeks. And I went back to Jake, and I was telling him the story. He said, oh, no. Go listen to these guys, I thought, okay. So I found a few guys that I really liked, a few content creators. And they were straightforward, and they were honest, and they gave legitimate reviews. And I thought, I can do this. And so I didn't have any friends that I could talk to. And I will give a shout out to my buddy Red Panda. Panda was one of the guys that I watched his video, and one in particular, probably 20 times. And it was all about how to build your first mining rig. And I would write down exactly what he said, and then I went to Amazon and I ordered all that. And then I watched how he put it together, and I built my first rig, and what do you know? Here I am mining Ethereum, and I was making money. And if you're a miner, then you know the kind of money that we were making back then, and it was great. And one rig went to 2, went to 5, went to 10, went to 20. And I think, I don't know, at one point it was close to 40 rigs. I literally was running out of space and the ability to run electricity. And fortunately, we had a bunch of breakers that we could slide in, and I could keep adding on. And it was good. I had a great time. And then life happened. And one day, I'm working, and they decide they're going to close the business. And fast, really fast. At the exact same time, not more than a week to 10 days, my wife, who works in the medical side, her practice got notification the doctors were playing a hardball. And they said, we don't need the doctors at that price, so we're going to let them go. And we're going to close the practice. So here I am at 66 and find that both I'm unemployed, my wife is unemployed, years before we wanted to take retirement. And guys, you can get jobs, but I can't go back and get those kind of jobs, not at this age. I did try, and I was told by a few, and I probably could have taken them to court. I had one woman tell me that she didn't think I could work for a woman. and I have worked for women before. I should have, that's one I probably should have done. But I just decided, no, I'm going to retire. And I will tell you that those things that I learned during those first 6 months of retirement is what brought me to YouTube. Because, I mean, what does a 67-year-old do that is newly retired, that's not working? And that's start a YouTube channel. And so I thought, okay, I'll do crypto for seniors because that was a niche that nobody really had covered. And I thought, we'll just see where this takes me. And I think it was about 4 weeks in, I had over 2,000 subscribers, and I was monetized in, I think it was like 6 weeks, something like that. And it just out of nowhere. I mean, it just came. And my videos didn't really go viral. So I didn't get like one video that went viral and I got all these people. What I did get was, as I would interact with people when I first started, they would see my name in chat and they'd start laughing. Crypto for seniors, like it was a joke. And as soon as they saw how fast I was growing, and it did plateau, and I am in a plateau right now, but as soon as they saw how fast it started to grow, they realized that this really was a niche. And so I decided that because my wife and I experienced some really unusual things that I guess was not so unusual. Like that very first day, I remember crystal clear walking around my house going, well, I really didn't need to wake up this early. Why did I? Well, because I'm used to getting up. Well, what am I going to do today? Well, who am I going to call? Am I going to have lunch? I got on the phone and I started calling all sorts of friends. Couldn't find anybody that wanted to have lunch with me because they're all busy. And I found myself very isolated. Now, granted, I have this great relationship with my wife, but now I'm going to spend time 24/7 with her. And although I love her dearly, that was a little too much time. And I just thought, well, YouTube is where I want to put my energy into. And consequently, that's how I started. And I started with Crypto for Seniors and grew that. And then this is October 2024, to give you kind of a time frame. And I decided that I would start this other channel and just maybe better prepare those folks that are in their 50s so that they knew what to expect. One of my jobs was also, I was a crisis counselor for 4 years. And I learned a lot from them, had quite a bit of training. And I just decided that I wanted to use this to help people that are just now starting to retire get themselves, number one, financially set up. And I'm not a financial advisor, but I can tell them about my journey and the things that I learned, get them emotionally and mentally set up. And that's why I thought living your best life. And I did some research, and I didn't realize how many channels there really are living your best life. So if you head over there, it's living your best life -1, and that would be my channel. And I'm going to start working on that. But I started seeing all these videos about, being real and being honest and open about who you are and what your background is. And, why are you on YouTube? Why should anybody listen to you? And I would tell you that the crypto for seniors, I think, was a lot easier for me to move into, to slide into. The living your best life, I think, will be easily as simple for me to get that channel up and going. I'm not worried about subscriber counts, and I'm not worried about being monetized, and I don't need the money. I'm doing it for the fun. I'm doing it for the sharing. I'm doing it for the camaraderie to be a part of something. I'm actually recording this on my cell phone because I just upgraded to a really high quality camera. And but I do have the full studio, and I'm invested in it. I've got thousands and thousands of dollars in equipment, and because I can afford it. And this is my hobby. This is instead of playing golf, and God, it's a gorgeous day. I should be out playing golf. This is what I decided I wanted to do. But for the most part, I watch these videos and hear these people are talking about their lives, and I was just fascinated. And it's interesting how we all get here to this point of being a content creator. And I can see some of the golfers behind me. I'm sure you could probably see them as well. I can see them in the reflection. And I've done this where I've had some videos that are out here. And I just enjoy being out and talking about some of the great things that I've learned along the way, some of the life lessons. The Lord knows I've had a lot of life lessons. This was something that I wanted to share. I wanted to become a storyteller. And I think that's really what a lot of YouTube is. There are a lot of people that do reviews and other things, but my focus is going to be for Crypto for Seniors, addressing the people that are new, that want to get into crypto mining, and the senior community that needs to have things maybe a little bit slower. Not to knock my seniors, but sometimes it takes me a few times to learn, and show them how they can get into this crazy world of crypto and maybe build a mining rig or buy some crypto. Again, not financial advice, but what I will do is I will give you exactly what I'm investing into, like a token that a lot of people don't really know, which is Hedera, a symbol of HBAR, HBAR. And that's just a little sleeper token that, I'm putting some money into, because when the next bull run comes, I've got, about 8 or 9 cryptos that I'm into. Most of them I've actually mined, but I've got some like HBAR that I've just gone out and bought over time, doing something called dollar cost averaging, where I would set it up and I'd buy $10-20 every few weeks and just set it up automatically and just let it keep on buying. And I was averaging my dollars. So, you buy it at 13 cents one time, you buy it at 13.3 another time, you buy it at 12.9 another time, you buy it, and you're averaging it. So I think HBAR will probably be one of those that will do really, really well. I hope it will. And I've got, Solanus and, a lot of the major tokens that you would think, Caspa and Lithium, and oh gosh, I'm not going to go into the list. I've got multiple videos that you could check out. But this video is just really about my journey and where I am today. And then I'm going to start from this point on, after this video, I'm going to start telling stories and backgrounds behind them and things that you could do to change your life, maybe where you're at. And I would tell you that here's a workman that's getting ready to come up, that nobody told me I couldn't do any of these things. And that was the big thing. Nobody told me that I couldn't do protection. And what a major, major personal issue that could be if somebody had gotten injured. So I do want to wind it up because it's getting a little long, but guys, I just wanted to share with you from the heart. This is who I am, and this is why I have these 2 channels that are out there. And I just want you to know that I'm very lucky that I had one job stair step to the next job, this stair step to the next job. So live your dream, follow your ambitions. Don't let anybody tell you no, and go for it. All right, guys, that's it. My name's Mark, Mornings with Mark, Crypto for Seniors, and my new channel, Living Your Best Life. If you find some value in this, I would love for you to subscribe. And I'd love for you to leave me a comment. Let me know how your journey's going. I'll catch you later. Bye for now.